Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to The Lobby, GameSpot's weekly video game hangout. Here, Wednesday mornings, San Francisco, California. I'm your host, Mike Mahardy. I'm here with Rob Hanlery. Kelly Plaggy.
Hello.
And P.O.P. Brown, otherwise known as Peter Brown.
Oh, man, I ruined it.
If you're joining in the YouTube or Twitch chats, as always, we have the chat up, so we're glad you can make it. Feel free to talk about Pete's Coffee's been a running joke lately, for the last few months now. Finally knocked it off.
Damn, you got me.
I didn't know it was empty.
You even said you were going to do that.
Can we get a mop in here? Is Jean-Luc back there? Can we get a mop in here?
Coffee is literally
No, I'm just kidding.
full of
I think
coffee.
Richard thinks there was coffee in it too.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, no, this was yesterday when you said, oh my God.
As usual, we have a giveaway. I forgot to bring it into the room, but it's a Deus Ex Mankind Divided PS4 special edition. We kind of thought it might be a good week because we've had it in the Nick Margarita Memorial Library, our storeroom of games. But like with Prey coming out this week, we figured, I don't know, it's an immersive sim. I don't really like Mankind Divided as much as I like Prey, but we'll be giving that away. So if you follow GameSpot on Twitter, or if you don't, go follow them, retweet the tweet about the giveaway that Shiva will be putting in the Twitch chat if you're here. But then later on the week, they'll pick a winner. It's North America only. Apologies to everybody outside North America. But yeah, we'll pick someone later in the week, and you might win that. Comes with an Adam Jensen figure, art book, and a steelbook case for Deus Ex Mankind Divided. A couple news items today. Andrew Wilson on an earnings call said that EA would have liked to see Andromeda scores higher. But he said there were 100 reviews that were 80 or above.
That's great.
Yeah. But more importantly, he also said that the new IP from BioWare, which they've been kind of talking about minus specifics for a little bit, is pushed to between April of 2018 and March. I don't know if I wrote this down right. Of March 2019. That's definitely a 9. That doesn't make sense. So it got delayed a little bit. He said it has nothing to do with Andromeda. Do you guys have any idea what it could be? I mean, it's a new IP, so we have no idea.
We have no idea.
Maybe it's a Jade Empire remake, which isn't a new IP, but that's what I want it to be.
I'm guessing it's a racing game of some sort. Or
From BioWare?
Or a puzzle game.
Have there been any racing RPG crossovers?
Car Battler Joe.
Did you make that up?
No,
That's a real thing?
that's a real thing.
Did you
Explain this
really?
game to me, please.
I've never actually played it. It's a Game Boy Advance game, I think, that involved. It was like an anime RPG, but based on like a racing series. So racing was somehow involved, I think.
I tweeted about Road Rash yesterday on the N64, the best version.
It's probably a good tweet.
Screw that Genesis shit.
Wait, 60. Wait.
The 64 version of Road Rash is better than the Sega Genesis original.
Why?
Do you want me to go in
Whoa.
depth? I don't know, because I've never played the Sega Genesis.
Oh, that's a really good reason. Yeah.
Excellent.
That's how I make most of my
Check it out, it's
comparisons.
Car Battler Joe.
This is Car Battler Joe.
Whoa.
Yeah, I actually don't know if there's any racing in here, but it has the word car in it, and I'm pretty sure it's an RPG.
I meant
so-
like you're a car and it's an RPG.
There are fighting games where you play as a car.
That's weird.
Oh,
Fighters,
there's a
Mega
dating
Mix.
sim where you date tanks, but they're girls.
Tank Girl.
Oh, yeah.
The
Tank-
tanks
the
are
tanks.
all women?
The women are anthropomorphic representations of
Right.
tanks.
What are the men?
It's pretty interesting art.
The men is just you, and you get to pick which one you want to date.
Oh, gotcha.
That sounds
Tank
awesome.
dating simulator? That does sound cool.
Yeah.
I want a helicopter dating simulator. Helicopters are hot.
What kind of helicopter would you date?
A B-67.
Cool.
Yeah, anyway, and then also in other news, it's not a real
No,
helicopter.
it's not.
2012's The Secret World MMO, if you played that. It's relaunching as a free-to-play game called Secret World Legends. It's from Funcom. Yes. I almost said Funko. That's not right. On June 26th. So if you never got the chance to play that, you can play that. I know a lot of people that play a lot of MMOs, and they like Secret World a lot. I mean, I don't play a lot of MMOs, but it's more this suburban horror tale, and The Secret World is kind of talking about this shit going on under the surface. This guy's buff. What was he doing?
Mornings, am I right?
Did you do motion capture for that? Was that you? The Secret
So
World.
for some reason, when you said Secret World, in my head, I was imagining Secret Garden. So this is
This is very different.
very different.
But yeah, this is more about vampires and werewolves and suburban. His head just exploded somehow. Yeah, so that'll be out June 26th. It's a free-to-play game. Isn't like the Old Republic free-to-play now? A lot of MMOs go that route after a while. I guess after their subscription numbers fall off. But, and then another game that's coming out soon on May 26th is Rime.
Yeah,
Which I'm
super
pretty-
interested in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it yet, if you're watching now, you can go watch Jess McDonald in our Australia office. She got to play about an hour of it, I believe, or something around that. But she talked about it, how different influences. She really liked Last Guardian, Shadow of the Colossus, Eco. I mean, I know the art design is kind of Wind Waker-ish.
I was
but
gonna say the game captured my interest because it looked sort of Wind Waker. There's like it sort of looks like the Witness art style too, just very
Yeah.
colorful. But then with that Last Guardian sort of kid exploring with an animal companion sort of thing that I find very charming.
She compared it to The Witness in the way that it's kind of like Myst, this mysterious island that you're trying to kind of decipher. But yeah, you have in sense of that's not rhyme. Neither is that.
Oh, this is just the intro where she's talking about how she played a lot of those
Okay,
games.
gotcha. Yeah,
and
yeah.
she's looking for something more refreshing that
Because Persona's like 100 hours, and she wants something a little quieter.
It looks really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
It's but yeah, she made the Last Guardian comparison because I don't know if for most of the game you have that little right there, you have that fox character with you. I don't know if you're gonna have to climb on this thing too, and if it's not gonna listen to you half the time, and I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
dissing the Last Guardian. I didn't really like that game.
well,
this-
if
Feel free to defend it, Pete.
Is this going to be on the Switch?
No.
Sorry. Is this on the Switch at all or no?
Yes.
Yes.
And they just announced today. I think originally you would have had to pay
$40, like $10 extra
on the Switch, but
for
they
the
just
physical version.
Nintendo just announced today that they down the price for that a few hours ago or something.
It kind of just makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm just glad this game's coming out because it was
Yeah.
announced for PS4
Right.
exclusively like 3 years ago.
yeah,
And then it was sort of like, well, the studio is sort of like losing its relationship with Sony, and who knows who controls the IP. But hey, here we are.
Goopshoe Riot in the Twitch chat, regular GameSpot viewer, was just asking how long was it in development. I believe that's.
Literally years.
yeah, like years.
Oh, it was. I thought he was just joking around about the Last Guardian comparison.
No.
It really was.
I don't think it was 9 years.
Is it like?
But definitely years.
Are they just taking their time, or were there kind of like
Well,
delays?
there,
and
I
stuff?
think there were disputes over what the game should have been. Maybe. I mean, that was kind of my understanding with the deal with Sony was that it like, and this is all just me gleaning from what I've heard online. You know, it's like there was some sort of like disagreement where they couldn't figure out how they wanted to ship this game, and it kind of fell apart. But, I mean, that's. Yeah, I don't know for certain.
This is super close. Yeah, May 26th. I think the next one also, Injustice 2 is May 16th, and then we need to slow the H down with all these games. I'm still playing every game I've started this year except for Resident Evil 7 and Zelda. I have not finished. It's pretty depressing.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm
But
just
do
like,
you really finish Zelda though? I guess not.
I just,
The DLC's coming out soon.
I'm just never gonna finish another game ever. It feels like.
Resident Evil 7 I want to replay. Every game I did beat I want to replay. There's a lot of games. There's too many. Yeah, and then I did want to talk about Strafe more in depth because Michael Hyam, his review went up. He gave it 8 out of 10.
A grade out of 10, yes.
Yes, and he liked it a lot, obviously. But I played it yesterday. Rob, you and I were kind of playing it during our lunch breaks.
Yeah, I played it for like hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
I feel like I got the gist of it pretty quickly, which is not
This
to say
is the
it's bad.
squeakiest chair. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to interrupt you.
What's the for people who aren't familiar because it's sort of like not super on everybody's radar. What's like the elevator pitch?
It's like styled after like early 90s PC first-person shooters, and it puts you in these procedurally generated levels where you might find some weapons that are super helpful or just a standard fare of weapons, and you have to fight these enemies as you explore the map and look for sort of the exit. Each like level has like a few components, sort of like a Super Mario World, you know, where you have like World 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, that kind of thing.
It's also pretty difficult.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
I saw from a lot of reviews that went up, they said that they didn't finish it. Michael was saying he read a bunch of reviews. I don't think. I think, but they're pretty honest about it. They're saying it's just really hard. We still liked it a little bit. I know, like IGN, I don't think got the chance to finish it before. Embargo, a few places.
Michael was like here late, like
Yeah. He
marathoning
was-
this game to not
yeah.
to get to like. It's not about marathoning because it takes so long. It's just like, you know, you get to like the end of the game and you die. You start back at the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
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 It's a roguelike, so you've got to, you know, kind of pick yourself back up and try it again, which can be tough for some people, myself included.
Yeah, like for me, I was like, you know, as
Oh
you.
shit! I didn't know you could throw those.
Oh really? Oh, I did that. I had to do that a couple times because ammo was like getting sparse. Oh my! Haven't seen that guy yet.
Nearby.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's the thing is like every time, you know, as you progress, you get hit with, you know, some new enemy type. And it was the ones that were like on the ceilings that would spit out like homing
Oh, those vents that shoot those
Those
stars.
vents,
Those
yeah.
things waste you, and then they have that acid on the ground.
That's
Yeah.
right. So when
Yeah.
you kill them, they spill acid everywhere, basically. And that stuff takes, if you step on it, takes away a lot of damage. So
Right.
in this game, you are just reliant on moving incredibly fast. And that is just one of those things that you have to tack on. Be like, all right, now I got to change my whole play style. It's just, yeah, you're going to die a lot.
Rip.
It's a little buggy too. Like when I was playing today, I was noticing some like pieces of models were like stretching across the screen, like an environment. Like a guy that I killed, like there was a polygon that was like a mile long.
yeah.
But also like I picked up a rocket launcher at one point that I found on the ground, and I was like, all right, cool. I don't want to use that yet. I want to save it. So I used my weapon wheel to go to a different weapon. I went back to the rocket launcher, and it was in the state where when you run out of ammo, you can only just toss the weapon.
Right.
Or
No.
you can't melee with it. I thought you could melee
you
if you
can
left
throw
click.
it or melee with
Sure,
it.
but yeah, I couldn't get back to actually using it. And I hadn't actually used it. And I had 10 rounds
Damn.
left for it, and it was like the.
Dude, I had
Was
difficulty.
that Strafe, or was Michael just comparing? Because this is his video review, right?
Oh no, this is all Strafe. They apparently there's this
Was that Wolfenstein?
no, but this is a like
right, he was saying-
homage to Super Hot right here. Like there's
Yeah,
literally
the
a
Super
weapon
Hot
that
gun.
lets you
Yeah.
do
That's
that whole
pretty sick.
movement time.
Yeah, he was talking about Easter eggs. Then what we just saw was that like Game Boy style.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing Michael had a complaint about, and you raised this to me as well, Pete, and I didn't think about it until I played again, and I agree, is the weapons don't have much heft to them. I know it's a PC keyboard game, or a mouse and keyboard focus game, although it is on PS4, but the weapons, I mean, you fire, and it's not much impact on the enemies. You get,
Yeah.
I mean, well, shit, that's the worst thing to prove my point, that there's a lot of impact there. But
That
yeah,
was
it's
a
kind
huge
of...
explosive, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
Like,
it's-
when you're using a
kinda-
shotgun or a machine gun, it feels like you're using a pea shooter, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there are a decent amount of weapons, more than I thought. Because you have those three you choose from at the beginning. One's like this more precise laser rifle, if you're kind of really good with a mouse, which I'm not. And then there's a shotgun and like an SMG. That also, its secondary fire is a few grenades. But yeah, then you pick up these power weapons, and you find those. It showed it earlier. It looked like that little. What was that thing from Big? The fortune teller? Zor? No, Zool is Ghostbusters.
Zool is Ghostbusters,
What's
yeah.
Zor? Whatever his name was. You
forget.
put the gun in, and he like it looks like a fortune telling booth. And then you age, and you dance on this keyboard with. No, I'm just talking about Big now. Yeah, but it upgrades your weapons, and you can like. I saw you were using the double barrel shotgun after a while, Rob. Not the super hot one, but the original one that you upgraded yesterday.
Yeah, that was neat. I mean, I just found things a little too like vague or ambiguous. It's like hard to gauge like what ammo types or maybe even the currency. Like I didn't find it very like heavy-handed on the tutorial aspect where like I couldn't like see something on the ground and know exactly what it was.
Yeah, currency is especially like
Yeah, yeah.
difficult to pinpoint.
So it's like I mean, only playing 2 hours, I was like kind of or hour and a half. I was just like trying to figure out like, all right, what exactly am I looking for or striving for?
Sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
yeah, but again, like this is such a fast-paced game. It's kind of hard to soak in and like experiment when you're going up to a currency booth and like doors open and more guys come in. Like it's tough to like get a grasp.
And it's also the trouble with when you're sticking to like a classic aesthetic, because it can be harder to visually indicate what something is when you are trying to make it look old, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like sometimes it could just be hard to.
Go.
Whoa.
Some bugs.
Oh God.
Did you guys watch the movie trailer for it from the what year
Rob was
was supposed to be
telling me about it.
96?
Hashtag
It's-
jorts.
watched it.
If you've seen the trailer from God, it was like a year or two ago. It's very much in the same vein of just like VHS 80s retro, but like hardcore, heavy, gory
Hobo with
violence.
a shotgun.
Yeah.
Oh my God! There's this one where he stabs a FBI agent with a skateboard into his stomach and rips out his intestines.
Sweet.
And then like
His friend jumps on it.
friend jumps on the skateboard and takes off, therefore pulling out just feet and feet of intestines.
Yeah.
It's like gnarly. And that's the same style of that actually transfers into the game where it's like, do you guys do the tutorial at all? Do you see
No.
that?
Isn't that doctor woman telling you stuff?
It was in the video review as well. It's pretty funny, and you see that in the game, right? Like you go through like I want to say it's like a area where you're then able to put your scraps to use and stuff like that. And there's like just a series of signs, just like
Well, there are those
gnarly,
machines.
like go for it. Like I don't know, it's got the style of humor that like an '80s skateboarder stoner would have, which is nice. And it's kind of funny to read that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of like Hobo with a Shotgun vibe or Turbo Kid.
Yeah,
guys
even
recommend
specifically
it?
that intestine thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
What does he
Like
do in
Strafe.
Turbo Kid?
I forget.
Does he
like an
tie it to
extra-
Does he
his
strangle?
bike?
Does he strangle someone?
Yeah, it's an exercise bike, and then he
Yeah.
Yeah.
they put a hook in his stomach and grab his intestines, and then they're interrogating him, and then he gives them the info they want, and then they still do it anyway. And it's such like you were describing the noise. It's just this grinding noise.
Well, the worst part about all of that, like, just ridiculous violence is that as this guy's intestines are being ripped out, he's like, "Oh no!" Like, I would not want to be alive for any of that. But
a date later. Shit.
it's like always just like, you're okay."
Was there a movie where the dudes got was it Tropic Thunder?
I think
Oh,
yeah, he's like
yes.
he's like
Yeah.
putting him back in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was like the fake war scene, the Vietnam War
Yeah.
scene. Yeah, that movie's on Netflix now. You should watch it.
Yeah.
One thing I really did want to say about Strafe is like Quake was one of the first games I ever played, and like Quake and Doom were two of the first games that I remember playing, and so like this is a game that like I want to play anyway because I have that nostalgia. But do you think it has enough going for it for somebody who maybe doesn't have that? Because that's from what I've seen and played, like I don't have a sense for that yet.
Right.
And I think you guys have played more than I have.
That was definitely my main draw, is the classic shooter feel to it, not necessarily the rogue-like elements. Because it is very much a rogue-like. It's not rogue-lite. Like, you don't carry any progression between when you restart, I don't think. I don't know. Every time I've died, I didn't have much progression. But it definitely feels like I like it more because it's paying homage to those games.
Yeah, that's the sense that I'm getting.
But it's also it's a nice contrast to what I've been playing lately. It's just very fast-paced. The soundtrack itself, this is the
really good.
first
It's
Steam
so
soundtrack I
good.
bought. It's like $7 if you like that kind of hardcore outrun kind of synth 80s stuff. I don't know if I'm describing it well, but you should check it out because it's really good. I've been like listening to it throughout the day now.
Just like that hard driving tempo, like that. Just like
Yeah.
heavy synth. Yeah, it's
really good.
fun.
It's really good.
It's by Toy Tree, the artist. I don't know if that's you have to look that artist up on Spotify. But yeah, Michael Hyam's review is up. You can go read it at GameSpot. It's an 8 out of 10 if you want to read more about it. I don't know. Any final thoughts? Are you going to play it more?
Yeah, it's actually been nice to play it in the morning. It like kind of wakes me up a little bit. No, for real. I mean,
Just
I
get
in-
coffee?
You know I get in early.
A little bit of...
I'm booted up.
You get in really
No,
early.
honestly, that's like a good way of putting it. Is like this isn't a game that I would play for hours on end,
No.
but like it's for sure just a nice like little like refresh. Like I mentioned to you, like there's no way I would want to play it as a mobile game, but like if there was a way to play it like on a bus, like it'd be a fun like hour
Like-
if you have like some kind of
To play it in
Switch, but
to play it in shorter increments, basically.
Yeah.
Right, like to not sit down and scream at it for
but
hours.
You
and hours.
super need a mouse.
you super need a mouse.
Yeah.
is what I was
So
gonna
fast.
say.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
where it doesn't necessarily convert. Well.
I do not want to play this with dual analog.
Lumscum on YouTube was asking when he played...
Sweet name.
They were asking when they played it, a demo earlier. It felt really floaty. Is that the case? I think so still. The key... Like, I mean, I'm not...
If you skate kind of when you walk.
If you have, well, I mean, you're encouraged to move, hence the name of the game. But if you are not super adept with keyboard controls, if you're playing on mouse and keyboard, I don't know. I haven't played it on PS4, but it looks equally floaty. I was having trouble like with smaller platforming sections where you had to jump onto a catwalk to progress. It took me a few times. Aside from like Overwatch, my mouse and keyboard skills are kind of out of date recently. But Eric Green on YouTube was asking if. Oh, sorry. Did you have?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's definitely like there is. Your acceleration is insane, right? Like you're always at what feels to be from either 0 to 10. So yes,
Yeah.
you're like constantly like micromanaging like all of your WASD keys, like, and as far as like the jumping or floating, you know, there's no that ties into momentum and like being grounded on the ground, like on the floor. Like there's no head bob, or I don't think there's lack of it, or it doesn't seem like there's any. Is what I'm trying to say, but. Yeah, I could kind of feel that, but it's not like it doesn't like deter from the game at all.
Yeah, going
Yeah,
back.
it's more of the point,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was jumping a lot over the smaller enemies if I had no room behind me. Going back to what Callie was asking, Eric Green was kind of asking, is the roguelike nature enough if you're not into those classic shooters? Was that pulling you through? It's kind of hard to tell because I haven't gotten that far into the game yet.
I don't love roguelikes, so that's actually something I I don't know. I don't really think about it too much. I just kind of want to like get into the strafe action, and I'm not worried so much about progression.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just like a thing that just like energizes me real quick, and I'm happy to use it for that.
Well, that's kind of a strength of it being a roguelike, though, 'cause you're not like overthinking it, because that's what I like about roguelikes is sometimes when I'm playing anything that has any sort of progression system, I overthink it. Like even with Prey, I was like sitting at a thing yesterday, like panicking, and then somebody had to come over and be like, "It's okay, you can come back to it. You're gonna be fine." So I like that because I'm not overthinking it, and this isn't a game you can overthink. Like you shouldn't be thinking too hard. So I think that suits it well. But I don't know, if you don't like roguelikes, then it's kind of like, ooh. Well, good luck. You're going to die a lot.
Yeah. It's a weird question. I realize this, but would you guys want it on the Switch? I'm not saying there's been no talk of bringing it to the Switch, but in terms of these bite-sized games, don't laugh. I have a real reason for asking this. We were talking about it. We were saying I was like the analog, it would be tough to play on a Switch. I would get killed even more, but I would like to have that for those like quick sessions when I know I'm probably going to die in like 40 minutes. So maybe I'll play it on the bus or something.
I still can't play the Switch on the bus.
No,
I still don't like
Because
cultural
you're
thing.
embarrassed, or because you get motion sick?
No, because it's just like I don't know. It's an expensive piece of
Here's my new
equipment.
toy.
It's like here's my new toy, everyone. Like
Yeah.
And there's just anything like I mean, if you've ever been on Muni, like anything and everything can go wrong.
Do not. Yeah,
Like,
now that I
just-
know,
I
what
just
bus
don't
line
want
you're
that
on.
to ever happen.
Do
Like,
not pull the Switch out on the Dirty 8.
Nah.
what you got there?
Yeah.
You $1? No, but I have. That's your joke. But I have a Switch. He wouldn't even know what that is. But I don't know. I would like it for those. I don't know. You're saying you're booting up in the morning when you get into work, or when you wake up, like in bed, on your you like your PC comes out of the ceiling and you start playing Strafe.
It's very much like the
Michael,
trailer.
When I get
Always just like invested.
when I get into the office, I don't think I'd want to play it on Switch. No. No, it feels going back to that it being sort of an homage. It feels like right at home on PC.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, it's like that kind of back to the floaty movement. Even like that kind of movement makes sense on PC. That's personally what I am used to, and how the movement and mechanics I'm used to when I'm playing something on PC like that. So it just makes sense. On Switch, I'd probably like mess it up way more and then actually get frustrated.
Or tab over to Zelda.
Or just be like, well, I could play Mario Kart with this 10-minute bus ride.
Yeah.
Speaking more about the Switch, I don't know, Pete. You put something up recently that was like Wii U exclusives we want to see.
It was a very thoughtful and well-researched gallery.
You interviewed Miyamoto for it, right?
I just
Reggie?
made a simple gallery because it was like, okay, there are a lot of Wii U games that are great that maybe people missed, and why not have them on Switch? Because Mario Kart 8 is a really good example of a game that was even super popular when it came out, and yet is more popular now, which is great to see for a great game. So I just like ran down 10 exclusives to make it sound like a gallery, and a gallery it was, and here we are talking about it. What Wii U games do you want on Switch, Michael?
Bayonetta 2.
Okay.
Because I never played Bayonetta 2, and I have an excuse now. I wasn't really too much into the Wii U, unfortunately, but
what about the idea of like port begging, right? Or like just saying like, well, now there's a platform we like, so we should get these games over here. Because I'm of the mind where it's like, I would personally like to play these, but do I want devs taking up time that could be spent on new games trying to port this stuff? That's kind of a
if
a
it's
weird
Wind
question.
Waker again, then yeah.
Well, yeah.
I know.
I was going to say I will play Wind Waker once again if they released it in HD on the Switch.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to what you said, Mike, though, it's like I had a Wii U, or I still have a Wii U. I didn't play it that often because it just wasn't a great system. And so there's games that I want to play that just didn't feel right. And so like Tokyo Mirage Sessions is a game that I think I would actually finally get into on Switch because I would have more time. And this is Wind Waker, which I love so much.
Explain Tokyo Mirage Sessions to me, because I saw gameplay last year 2 years ago when it released. 2 years ago.
So
what is it?
We can help each other.
Sounds like Rob's favorite game.
Let's tag team this. So it's an RPG
Set in Tokyo.
set in Tokyo.
Gotcha.
It's more. I was talking to Matt Espinelli about this because we're talking about games to play after Persona 5, and he was like, "Yeah, it's like in a similar vein, but just way happier."
These teens aren't really, as far as I understand, dealing with a lot of angst and turmoil and
they're not
crime.
They're not
and-
unhappy teens.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions is happier than Persona.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that such a hearty laugh?
Because do you see what they were just doing? Every fight, like in those big arenas, is like a pop concert. I mean,
Yeah.
it revolves around entertainment. It revolves. It's a definite lighthearted game, especially compared to Persona 5.
Yeah.
Felipe Idar on Twitch, apologies if I'm butchering her name, said Zelda Special Package with Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and Skyward Sword.
It's called HD Collection. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I would,
would be good.
So I've never played Skyward Sword, but I think I would actually play it if it were on Switch.
I don't. There's mixed. Justin Haywall was just replaying it recently before Breath of the Wild came out. I liked Skyward Sword the first time I played it, and then I played it more, and I know the running joke is to not like Navi because she annoys you in Ocarina, but Fee, she tells you how to complete puzzles. Like straight up, when you walk into a room and you see a new room in a dungeon in Zelda, you're just trying to gain some sort of spatial awareness and figuring out what's going on in the room. She'll stop you before you can even do that and say, "Oh, it looks like those electric balls will open this door if you can get it across that." It's like, why are you telling me
Yeah.
this?
I could figure it out. I'm not an idiot.
I love the battles outside that little area where Link was going around, like that little circular walkway down there. There are some really cool moments in this game, but by and large, it's not that special.
I just feel like a bad Zelda fan for not having played it. Like I want to play it for my own sense of completion. And I think the reason the reason Switch is more appealing to me than any of the previous platforms for some of these games that aren't immediately attractive to me, because I hate the art style actually of this game a lot, is just the Switch being portable and me being nearsighted. I can actually bring things closer to me. And I don't know why, but that's a big draw for me. And I know that's lame as hell, but it actually has improved my experience. Like with Zelda, I only play it handheld, for example. So I think with some of these games that I missed on Wii U or before that, I would really enjoy on Switch.
This is bringing back good memories.
Yeah.
The game's got the worst opening in any Zelda game ever.
Really?
It is. I mean, you talk about Fee spelling things out for you. This game tutorializes have you ever played a video game before? We're going to teach you what it means to move using a controller. And
my God.
everything is just so. It's like 2 hours of tutorials before you can really get into the game proper, the adventure.
I like the flying with the loft wings.
Yeah.
You're still talking about Skyward Sword, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
was
just-
gonna say there's some bad openings in Zelda in general.
I was gonna say worse than the super slow Twilight Princess sequence.
Worse. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because Twilight Princess isn't as much. I mean, it tutorializes things, but most of that is just setting up the really somber, melancholic tone of the game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which after a while you get it. It's called Twilight Princess, really dark.
Skyward Sword feels like my first Zelda adventure. That kind of thing.
Yeah. But in terms of other Wii U games, do you have any you'd like to see?
I was gonna say, just thinking about the Switch, and maybe how Mario Kart was so cool, and honestly, getting into a game on my couch playing Mario Kart Online is super quick, and I'd be excited to see another multiplayer title. Maybe and I'm thinking about how has anyone played Jackbox on the Switch yet?
Yeah.
Have you played it yet on the Switch?
No, not on the Switch, but I know Jackbox.
I'm just thinking about how that game, what's the game in that?
Drawful?
No, it's one where you're guessing people. Guess who was it?
Fibbit?
Fibbage.
No,
Oh.
not Fibbage. It's another one. I wish I remembered.
Oh,
How does the game work?
Not guess. Is it Guespionage? No, that's not it either.
Were you trying to guess the right answer or the most popular answer?
Someone
to-
in chat will get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to say it's raise your hand if you ever been to the doctor in the last month. And
that is
if you're-
Guespionage, isn't it? The spy one.
You're thinking of Guess Who?
Sure. Anyways, my point being, I would like to see a Mario Party hit that would maybe incorporate that kind of idea of hide your screen or something like that, and maybe in a private type of game mode or something like that. I don't know. There's something to be said about in the office here, or people who do happen to have other friends with Switches, that mobile aspect.
Sorry. People
It
who
almost sounded
do
like-
have friends. Sorry.
With Switches.
Continue.
That rules me out.
I think that'd be cool. I'd like to see more multiplayer titles making its way.
You had mentioned it's kind of. I think you were saying it as a stretch because it's coming out There's the sequel coming out, but what is the open world when you're on the giants?
Faking it. Thank you.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Xenoblade.
Faking it.
Yeah.
That is the JRPG I'm thinking of.
Faking It was the Jackbox game. Xenoblade is the game you're talking about.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Sorry,
X.
Cross, depending on your region.
X or cross or X cross
In
both.
Japan, it's cross, I believe.
Like
It's
Chrono
usually-
X.
Chrono X.
Chrono Cross.
Yeah.
Oh, you fuck.
K-pop, dude. So Xenoblade Chronicles, you would like that on the Wii U?
Yeah, I like that game a lot, and I think
sorry,
a
the
lot
Switch.
of people missed it. I hate this guy so much.
Well, I can see
Ugly.
why.
Oh my god.
I like his scarf.
I hate him so much. This game has horrible voice acting,
Yeah,
which
you
is
told
like
me.
one of its worst. That sucks. But like as for an open world like RPG, it's really good, and I really like the combat. It's a good sort of progression from the original Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii. What happens like 50, 60 hours into this game, you're sitting in this huge world with things that seem way too big, but then you get mechs.
Yeah, it
and the
happens like
whole-
so late in the game.
And yeah, the whole game and your whole perspective on the world changes, and suddenly these monsters that are towering above you are like more your size, and it's just like it's such a cool late game expansion to what you've been doing.
That does sound cool.
I remember you reviewing that game, and you were pretty torn, or not torn, but I remember you like saying you're trying to explain it. You're like, yeah, later on, it just becomes this whole different game almost.
Yeah. And I kind of wish it got to that point earlier. I don't know. Did any of you guys play Xenogears, the old PlayStation RPG? So you get mechs in that game. Similarly, you don't get them until kind of far in, but it's not as far. And I feel like they were trying to go for a similar thing here. Anyway, yeah. So they're coming out with Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The original Xenoblade Chronicles did not involve mechs, so I don't expect to see those in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So, in that sense, if there are no mechs in the new one, having this there might be a nice compliment to the Xenoblade verse on Switch.
Philanthropy on YouTube was just saying if you're talking about this game, you have to talk
That's
about
Ben.
the soundtrack. That's Ben Janka, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. But Ben Janka, he does a lot of our behind the scenes stuff for GameSpot publishing and whatnot. He was saying, yeah, talk about the soundtrack. Do you remember the soundtrack? Does it stand out?
No, it doesn't. Ben, I'm sorry. I let you down. Was it a Yasunori Mitsuda joint?
Yeah. We'll figure
Let's
it out.
wait.
Yeah.
I feel like we have to mention Smash.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, that's like
pretty
a
obvious.
given, right?
Yeah.
I know
That has to
yeah.
happen.
I mean, Splatoon 2 is coming out, but you were talking you want like another kind of multiplayer thing, but
For sure. Like just
Well,
playing
like
Mario
party
Kart
or,
online,
like,
yeah.
party stuff.
Party stuff. Yeah.
Not 1-2 Switch.
What I was poorly trying to say was like just something, they have such a really unique device. Like I could just see people thinking outside the box, maybe like a Jackbox way. That was horrible. But like,
I can go, right?
yeah, you can. But just like cool ways of just incorporating that.
oh my
that tech.
god.
Wow.
I really should.
You know
be.
what?
You're like red now.
Am I?
I
little
think
bit.
Super Mario Maker is almost
Yeah.
a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
That should-
Absolutely.
that should super
Would that
happen.
work as well without the stylus?
Use God, nature's stylus.
Ew.
The one what God
Get your
gave
stylus
you.
away from
Use
me.
all 10
Put
of
it
your
down.
styli.
Nature's
I
stylus, P.
understand
Brown.
why you did that, but the way
I thought you were flipping me off
I
for a
know the
second.
way you angled your hand was a little. Yeah, you do have nature's stylus.
I just want a new. Yeah, I mean, this conversation just wanting. Yeah, I just want all these new games to come out. Like we talked about this on the lobby a few months ago. Like, what franchises we want to actually see come back, not games ported, and just Metroid's the obvious one. A new Smash would be great. Who knows when that would happen?
Do we need a new Smash?
Yeah.
Why? What else do you want?
What? Like,
else do you
why?
want?
We didn't need Smash on the Wii
Do we
U.
need a new Mario Kart?
Well,
No.
So we're not.
What is that argument?
Okay, I would like to say that it would be a port of Smash on Wii U because
Right.
it takes Sakurai like at least 6 years for each Smash,
Right.
so it's not gonna be new.
But I think he realizes that and is still arguing for a new.
I will argue anything if I feel like I would win the argument. I don't need backup from. I don't need to back up my points. I don't need to justify myself to you and your smelly stylus.
No.
Not you. Are you
Watch
backing
my
me up
stylus
now?
every day.
Let's move
No,
on.
don't. Supporting my argument.
I am.
That was weird. Any other? Someone just say they want System Shock. Don Matrick on YouTube. I don't know if System Shock's ever going to come to the Switch. F-Zero would be dank.
I love SRO.
That's how Captain Falcon would say it. Dank.
Fast
All right, I think we talked enough about Wii U. people have been coming here for Prey. I think a lot of people are wondering why we want to talk about Dishonored 2. Not a lot of people, but for those who don't know, Prey is made by Arcane Studios, who also made Dishonored, Dishonored 2, as well as like going way back in the day, Arx Fatalis, Dark Messiah, Might and Magic. Worked on a bunch of canceled games as well. But yeah, Prey has been out since Friday, and because it's Bethesda, the publisher, with their review policy, they didn't give us codes until the day before, a few hours. So Timur Hussein in the UK has been playing it. His review in progress is up. His review will be up soon, right?
Very soon.
His scored review, full review. People on editorial were looking at it earlier, so that'll be up. We've all played it. I've played it rather extensively. Rob, you played a little bit more last night. Callie, you started yesterday, I think. Pete, you played a few days ago.
I played a little bit on PS4 last week, and then I started this morning on PC. For reasons we shall talk about, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we did want to talk about Dishonored 2 because these games are they're similar in that they're immersive sims, right? And that's a really geeky, esoteric term for these games that put you in a world where it's got its own rules and physics, this backstory that exists, whether you want to look into it or not. But they also kind of usually encourage player experimentation with these like overlapping, pretty complex systems. Dishonored, it was magic powers. Arx Fatalis, same thing. Dark Messiah, same thing. But Dishonored was more of a stealth game, action hybrid. So you could choose to go stealth or hybrid. And that's not the case with Prey. Prey is very much its own beast once you get into more specifics, the minutia of the thing. But the Dishonored 2 is probably the most apt comparison to make because that came out last year in October, I believe.
Yeah.
And I really liked Dishonored 2. And Timur, who's reviewing Prey, really liked Dishonored 2. He was one of the ones, along with me and a few other people, that were pushing it up our Game of the Year list. I did want to talk about the differences between those two because of those reasons I was just mentioning. Did you guys all play Dishonored 2?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You played the no powers mode, or not mode, it's not a mode, but you chose the no outsider powers playthrough when he offers them to you?
Yeah, and it's a cool comparison because with Dishonored, it is so much more stealth, and I think mainly due to the fact that the AI was so much more responsive to you and the environment. So like I consider playing Prey, and it feels very much like a Arcane game when you load up Prey, and you're experimenting. So I'm throwing boxes, I'm throwing objects into rooms while crouched to lure, a phantom to be distracted, so I can walk by a doorway or something. And there's just no response with that. Like the phantoms and the AI in general seem to be just separated in that respect, which isn't a bad thing. It's just like you're not getting the benefit of like distracting or confusing AI. Like they just seem to be either like patrol or kill, and it's one of the two things.
I mean, I think it's a different hook, right?
Yeah.
Like comparing these games for me is a matter of like how your interaction is, like how important that is to the experience. Where Dishonored 2, it's sort of like sky's the limit, like with what the powers you have and what you can do with them. I haven't encountered and I haven't heard any examples of things here where you're actually combining a lot of different things like quickly on the fly to do interesting, surprising stuff. But I think that is the pitch for Dishonored, right?
Yeah.
As a series is making that happen. If you're not doing the stealth route, where stealth is equally treated, with care and respect. I mean, this definitely seems to be more of the immersive exploration game,
Right.
than Dishonored.
Yeah, and resource management is much bigger here, I
Right.
think. I mean, it's important in Dishonored, and much of the reason we can talk more about the structure of the games, right? Because Dishonored is these 9, or is it 9? I think it's 9 discrete missions. Dishonored 2 is 9 discrete missions. Dishonored 1 was also these separate missions you could jump into and then spend your time. They're these separate sandboxes, whereas this is all one contiguous world that interlocks. And although there are parts that you won't get into until later because of some story beats, you could still freely explore it. But in the sense that this is much more a resource management survival game, whereas, like we said, Dishonored is that hybrid that you could still choose to go either way. Or my favorite way to play Dishonored, even though I love stealth games and I did the no kills, no alert playthrough, which was probably my favorite way the first way I played it. My favorite way to play Dishonored 2 was to actually mix the two approaches. And this game seems like you have to mix. You don't have to. It gives you the freedom to not, but in terms of resource management, there are some abilities that I really like over the others. You have these 3 human trees right here: security, engineer, scientist. And then, like the thing that's been widely publicized, and it's not really spoilers, that you can start researching aliens, much like you did in BioShock when you were researching the splicers with a camera. And then you get alien abilities, another 3 trees, which are based on telepathy, energy, and morphing, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this game is much more resource management. Rob, you are liking that.
Yeah, definitely. I do enjoy finding every nook and cranny, and just it's that process of very much Minecraft, right, where you just load up your inventory and you make it back to your base or your recycler and you offload. There's a crazy gratification you get from that. I don't know. I love doing that. It's like tidying up, cleaning your room, which I should have been doing last night. Not playing this
Your
game.
mom's gonna be so pissed.
I know.
Robert, get off the Nintendo.
Get off your prey.
Get
Nice. That's how your mom says.
Get off
She
your
sounds like that. All right.
Nintendo.
Okay.
But
Oh, this part's good. Oh, that's kind of a
Yeah.
spoiler, actually.
But I mean, we've said it to death. I feel like about the mimics. I think they're pretty neat. I know one of the complaints that other people are having is at what point is it just? Do you enjoy the unsettling nature of entering a room and the musical cue that comes in, or do you not like it?
Yeah.
And I have been liking it, but I totally understand that really high piercing.
Oh God.
It's a jump scare, and it's meant to do just that. But I agree with the sentiment that it's all right, I wasn't even looking at it, and you're scaring me. And at what point does that get kind of tedious and unsettling? And I found this is just a personal tip, is that you can turn down the music, and I lowered it to 50%, and that significantly made those moments less frustrating.
Really?
Yeah, and that is going to lead to my next thing. Is sorry, I have to cut you off.
No, go
but
ahead, no.
the sound mixing in this game, I think, is a problem. When it came to you have your main January or Alex talking to you, and you're having an intercom in the room playing. The intercom will be significantly louder than actual narrative dialogue, and that happened often, and I found that very jarring and frustrating. Just weird mixing things where it's what are they called? They're just those bots that fly around. What do they name those things?
Operators.
Operators. There was one area where most areas where I've had those guys flying around, they're 2 halls down, and they're so overpowering loud, and I'm having a phone call. I don't know if you guys have had that issue at all, but that was frustrating to me. I guess one of the bugs that people have been having. I don't know.
I also heard about characters talking over each other.
Yeah.
I haven't encountered that yet, but obviously that's a problem. Because if you want to know what's going on and you can't hear it, I probably will end up turning the sound down, because it's really frustrating when you enter a room and I don't even know that the mimic is there yet, or I suspect that a mimic might be there, and then there's the sound. I'm oh, I guess now I'm ready to look for it. It'd be better if it was, I don't know, if you're not even looking at it and it appears and then you get that sound. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I don't like it. It's jarring. I do like the game overall, though.
Later on, I want to get into my overall impressions, because I think it's pretty wide-ranging across all of GameSpot staff. But later on, it's tough. Spoilers in this game are more mechanical, shit you can do experimenting. So I don't want to talk too much about it. But you find the Hunter's Boltcaster if you've been watching gameplay. It's this toy boltcaster that shoots foam darts. It seems useless at first, but then I'm finding more and more uses for it. But there is an enemy later on that's attracted to movement. And so I start using the boltcaster more against them and to distract them. But every once in a while last night, and I found that problems were persisting more if I went into rest mode overnight and then turn it back on again later, as opposed to closing out the application and going back in. Sometimes I'd come in. It might just be my imagination, but I thought the audio problems were worse after that. But you shoot the boltcaster, and when the foam darts hit a wall, it makes a squeaky sound. And got misophonia bros over here. We can talk about this. Small sounds annoy me if they're consistent and kind of like you make a lot of noise. You sit next to me and you infuriate me.
Oh, here we go.
No, just joke. I'm joking. Slurping coffee, I hate. You don't want to talk. Certain guttural kind of noises.
I hate mouth
You
noises.
should listen
It's
to
a disorder.
Tay eating candy in the afternoon.
Oh, stop. Don't even make it. Don't even make that sound. Yeah,
But
okay. I'm with you on that.
I know you can hear me, Tay.
The boltcaster squeaking would keep repeating until I reloaded a prior save. I can't even talk because it's annoying me so much thinking about it. And I was in my room at home, and I paused it, and it continued when I went to the kitchen. And I came back. I was like, I'm gonna blow my face off if this keeps happening. And I almost did, but no, I didn't. I just reloaded a save.
Nice.
But apart from those complaints, I am really liking Prey. I love this game. I'm really liking this game. And I don't know, and I've gotten to the point where I'm experimenting more with powers, and it really is a game that you have to, if you don't want to experiment with different powers, I think you can go through the game like a specific way more than in Dishonored. Dishonored, I think, actually kind of force you to use different powers to get through. This game is kind of giving you the choice if you want to, in my opinion. I was texting Rob the other night, and again, I don't want to get too into mechanical spoilers, but like figuring out these situations, there's not many environmental puzzles mapped out as it would be in a Zelda game, but there are these situational puzzles that kind of arise based on what powers you have. So these two turrets were at the end of a hallway, and I couldn't throw an EMP charge that far to disrupt them. And I didn't have much ammo, so I couldn't shoot them, and I wanted to save ammo regardless. But they recognized that I had been getting more alien powers, and they recognized the Typhon DNA in me, which in the persistent threat, the nightmare, which is an alien, starts chasing you when you have a lot of alien DNA, but also the station starts to turn on you. So I put an EMP charge next to me on the ground, and then I mimicked that, and then rolled up behind the turrets because they didn't recognize. And that's really cool.
Super cool.
And you have to go out of your way to try to combine all these powers because I think you could get through without them. Like I know it doesn't kind of force you to as much as I think Dishonored did. But this game gives you the freedom, I think, to do that. And I've been doing that more. I think you're liking it more for the survival aspects, though.
Yeah, I think so. Like I had just touching on like the powers of like, the morphing, right? I can morph into this cup. Again, like I haven't played enough to like make like a strong opinion, but I was, you see it in the trailers and highlights of this game where it's like, oh, here's like a teller slit in a room. I know I can get in this room if I'm as small as a cup. And it's like, okay, well, next thing I know, I'm spending a lot of time trying to like make a series of steps to jump up as a cup into it. And I found the object handling and movement like pretty janky. And that was just something where it was like a kind of a bummer for me if they're going to give me this power and implying that I can get into any kind of small nook or cranny, and I wasn't able to do that. In this moment, it was like, all right, well, in this moment last night, I spent like probably like 10, 15 minutes. I was like, what am I doing? This is dumb. Like there are going to be more heavy-handed, clear applications of like, oh, okay, this is an area that I can roll into, and hopefully the morphing tree spans out, so it's like a higher jump or obviously more objects or different types of whatever it is. I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything, but
yeah.
I
don't know.
I like having like kind of janky solutions to problems. Like I like having the option to like not elegantly solve something, and I like that is a possibility in this game, at least from what I've played. I love it when there's not always an elegant way to solve something, but you like just barely figure it out. And so I'm liking the potential for that. But I think one thing that is really irritating me so far, and I'm at the beginning, is fighting mimics and how quickly they move versus how slowly I move.
Yeah.
Is like,
it's super frustrating.
Like it makes me feel like I'm really bad at the game or something when I don't think I'm particularly bad at games. And so I'm like trying to figure out how to properly shoot them with the glue cannon to slow them down so I can hit them. And
then you're out of ammo. And then you've got a wrench, and that wrench is pretty slow and inaccurate.
And that becomes very cumbersome.
Yeah.
And again, going back to my earlier point, like I like that I don't feel overpowered necessarily. Like I like that I can struggle with things. But that particular combination of movement has been bugging me a little bit.
Well, if you pre-order, they gift you a shotgun at the beginning of the game. So that was your mistake. You didn't pre-order.
I would highly discourage using that.
So
what?
The shotgun?
The thing the game gives you?
Oh,
okay.
I would highly, if you can, I would
Wait,
avoid that.
But that's the thing. You're supposed to play your own way, right?
Yeah.
I have
Just your way.
No. You play how you want, but I think the game would
You
be
didn't get a
better if you're
shotgun.
doing. I didn't get a shotgun, and I'm really liking I cranked my sensitivity. I didn't have as much of a problem, but you played on PC and said you liked it better, right?
So yeah, this is what I was going to ask you.
Well, so what I'm liking better is not necessarily the it's not the practical application of the controls. It's the physicality of playing on a mouse and a keyboard versus a controller. Because maybe I have more control over the camera, but I still find that wrench combat and those mimics to be immediately annoying and honestly detracting from my ability to want to explore. Because it is just this shrill thing that is just kind of like really shocking. And when I just have my wrench, like I have to get close enough to this thing to hit it, and it takes like 3-4 hits. And in those 3-4 hits, I'm getting struck as well, and there's really no way to get around that. So I find it to be punishing me for engaging in something that I can't avoid, and that doesn't feel fun.
It's interesting. Like it's nice to hear that you're having a good experience on the PS4 because
I had to crank my sensitivity, but especially after Strafe.
Because I was playing last night and I kept thinking like, man, if I had to play this on a controller, I would lose my mind. And the instance is the Phantoms where they'll do the warp dash, and next thing you know, they're behind you.
Right.
Just that alone, and they hit really hard, right? Like you have to spin around, and I was doing like very twitchy, high sensitivity moves with the mouse and keyboard. Plus, you're saying that, and I'm curious to know the layout on a controller, but switching from a glue gun to a wrench with a controller, that would get really frustrating, at least in my eyes.
But
like,
it's
hold
like
triangle.
Doom. You hold triangle.
No,
and you
it's
get the
super
weapon
easy.
wheel.
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, because like for a keyboard, it's like 1-2. Like I'm just like instantly able
You
to...
get
That's not a
a
problem.
radial dial you can pull up.
And
Yeah.
it pauses,
pauses
the action.
everything.
Yeah.
It's like a,
So it's easy on
Ratchet and
console.
Clank weapon wheel.
Okay.
It's the weirdest comparison.
I guess what I'm saying is that
Doom
like
would be a better.
even pausing the game, like you don't have to with like the PC. And I find that much more. You just develop a rhythm where it's like glue. Like it doesn't. I don't know. I know that a lot of games do the slow down mechanic of like the wheel, whatever it is. But there was something about like quickly like switching to any of these weapons and developing that rhythm that I really would want, opposed to like any kind of like controller. I don't know.
I would
Yeah.
probably map weapon changing to my mouse wheel if I was on computer. That's me though.
You can actually. Just,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Well, I'm playing on Xbox because we only had Xbox codes.
Yeah.
And that's going fine. I'm not having any problems.
But even like inventory management in the menu, like
Oh,
how
yeah,
is
yeah,
that?
it's a perfect example. No, right. That's obviously much easier with the mouse.
Right.
Or even decode keypads in the game.
Oh yeah,
That's-
that's the coolest thing actually. Is this numpad on a,
Oh, you can
on
do
the
that?
No,
keyboard?
I've been having to use the E or whatever key to interact.
No, I've just been walking up to it, and then you just point your cursor, and I just do numpad. It's actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
That's the one thing is on console, I'll like go up to a computer and then I'll try to interact with it and I'll forget like it's a 2-step process. So I'll end up
Right.
just jumping in front of the computer and I look
Yeah.
like an idiot.
Yay!
I'm like, woohoo, a computer.
Well, also instead of mapping like button selection on these keypads to the D-pad, which is what I would prefer to use to scroll through them, you actually have to use the analog stick to look at the individual button.
Yeah, so it works the way a cursor would work, and that's
Yeah.
the weird. So interacting with, and you do. I really to talk more positively because there are things I do like. I really like going through emails. I think that sounds very boring, but I like looking into a very small piece of somebody's conversation and trying to figure out what is going on, what the context is. And so I do a lot of interaction with computers. And so just that input, I'm noticing that a lot more because that's something I do frequently. But I do like, those environmental puzzles of like solving like, oh, I need to figure out where somebody kept their password or like where a code for this safe is. How do I find that in this environment? Like, how do I glean that information? So I'm liking all of that. Like I like the atmosphere and I really like kind of storytelling that you opt into. Like you don't have to read those emails, but it's something that like it slows me down a lot, but I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I feel like an idiot when I jump in front of the computer.
I did that with Fallout 4 actually, kind of similar. In Fallout 3, you had to select to go into and look into a locker, and then you would, after that, you press the button again to take items. But in 4, you just have to look at it, and then you could take stuff. And still in Fallout 4, when I play it, occasionally I'm still doing the same thing and jumping and looking like an idiot. But you can talk about the game's storytelling. I really, really like its approach to letting me find my own story and kind of, I'm coming in and I'm talking about these powers I use, but I'm also saying like Jean-Luc beat the game. Jake is pretty far in and we're all talking. We're like, oh shit, I didn't even know that was a quest. I ended up finding this before I even got the beginning of that quest. And then Jake will say like, oh, I didn't even get this, and I went through that area. I thought I scoured it, and then I'll find an email that mentions this one person. Then I'll find another email that mentions that person from a different perspective, and then I'll find that person's like a note that they had on them that says this, and then you'll go into this crew computer, and you'll see there's no life signs, so they're dead. There's a few people that are still alive on the station, but you'll see that they're dead, and you can track their corpse through that, and that becomes a side quest you do. Because that they have like this fabrication plan, so you can make this weapon in the future indefinitely, and then you'll find out that there was a feud between these two, like her and her, or him and him, because he stole his like work and took credit for it, and then you'll find his body and find something on it that reveals another side of the story. And you two were saying that the emails and stuff does feel kind of ham-fisted, and some of it feels superfluous. The writing itself, I agree with that. I don't think some of the emails are actually really. The emails, the notes, some of the the books you read. I love the lore of this game. It's as if Kennedy the assassination attempt failed.
Yeah, like I've been reading all the books I can find. Like I found one on linguistics and I got all excited.
Yeah.
Like I nerd out for stuff like that in any game. So obviously that's something I'm going to latch onto with this game.
Like if Kennedy survived, and if he survived, or if there was never even an assassination attempt. I think it's just
if he survived the assassination.
And then the space race, essentially the Soviets and America would kind of combine forces eventually, rather than the arms race and everything. And then it just accelerated this idea of exploration in space and everything. But then it gets really sinister. But I like piecing this stuff together. I'm not in it for the sense of a traditional narrative. I'm in it kind of trying to find my own and piece these things together, and finding out that this person has a shotgun in their room, and I didn't get the shotgun until like 15 hours in, which everybody else was like, oh, it took me like 2. And I still I don't know.
Apparently there's one hidden like really close to the start of the game, like the first room.
Yeah, it's in the it is. It's in one of the first big areas I think you're talking about. Yeah, I didn't go there because I kind of got overwhelmed. You walk into the lobby and it's just you can go wherever,
right?
Immediately.
What's kind of odd actually is I think when we played the preview or the demo, the linear based nature of the first hour is like you're getting into that first room and you're going to follow the same path. You get the glue gun, and the demo was like the shotgun was right after. And
somebody was saying here that they actually did change that,
which is interesting. Oh. But yeah, no, I mean, I actually have come around on the emails and stuff because you kind of eventually know what you're getting into with some of these emails, right? Like, all right, this is kind of nonsense. I'm looking for something. In this case, like a familiar name or something like that. Like I've been getting better at that, and I have been enjoying it. Yeah, like there's like some book that seems really interesting. Like some I think it's like a comic book, some narrative, but it's like
pulp sci-fi. Are you talking about?
Yeah, but what's neat is like you think of the JFK like conspiracy and everything, but like soon after that there was another conspiracy, right? Like that is just how things are the way they are on the space station.
All these little stories you guys are talking about sound really interesting. It's just I feel so put off by the combat early on that it's like, and then when I see the emails that are more mundane and they're not as interesting, it's like, well then why do I subject myself to this sort of combat to get to that point? Like, I don't know, maybe the game could have been better if it spent more time letting you just feel enveloped in its world rather than threatened on a regular basis, on a constant basis.
Like, I hear you, but I think there's a hump to be said where it's like eventually, and I was getting there last night, where it was becoming easier and I'm more confident and not as like timid by the environment because of the powers and the inventory management and like.
How long does it take to get those powers? Like everyone talks about those, but it takes hours, right?
I mean, I feel like I'm taking like snail's pace, and I think I am now sitting comfortable at like 12, 13 hours, and I'm playing on hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more confident, like, because you're going back to your office to like always dump your stuff if you haven't repaired these recyclers because you need, it's part of the game with resources. But I'm now like going back and I see a mimic, and I mean maybe I'm just running by him, which is kind of eventually where you want to go just for time's sake. But like it's not as bad. It's when I'm going into a new room that I'm unsure. Like there are a couple parts that are actually really neat where it's like, oh, you just did. I don't know. I can't spoil it, but like.
So
New
maybe you're
areas.
right. Maybe there's just a hump that I need to get over, but getting over that hump I haven't found to be worthwhile yet. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna keep trying because I want to see the stuff that you guys are so excited about.
Yeah,
but I also don't feel like I'm alone in
No,
most
you're not.
games.
No, you're not.
No,
It's
absolutely
definitely not. I think it'll be a divisive game. I think it already is, but I loved it right from the beginning. The wrench combat, I had to crank my sensitivity just so like when a mimic jumped at me.
You've been really looking forward to this game like forever,
Yeah.
right? Like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely have, but I just like arcane stuff, so I think maybe I was super into what they were trying to do with it. But I don't feel as threatened in the environment as a lot of people do. I have powers now. I have like you get something later on that you can kind of it eliminates the annoyance of the mimic for the most part until kind of you get more powers and stuff and like chipsets, and I'm enjoying the resource management, and I am taking it very slowly and scouring every room. So once I find out that the room is safe, I'll actually take more time.
I do that too, but I'm saying the rewards I'm seeing are boring emails. I've seen the same emails.
I think it's reductive to say the emails are the reward.
Whoa!
The emails are not the reward. That's so. No, that's so.
Isn't the narrative? You guys were just here telling me how that's.
I'm saying I like how the narrative is unfolding. I'm not saying that's. I'm not saying that's the reward. That's not exact. Don't put words in my mouth. That's not what I said.
You guys were literally just here telling me all these little stories that make it
Right.
so interesting.
That's not the reward for
That
like
is-
slugging through though.
But if but if you're playing this game the way you want to, right? If that's the whole thing, and I'm saying that like the reward that I'm seeing in front of me is this narrative. It's what the game puts up in front of you first and foremost.
Oh, I don't.
It's not combat.
The narrative is not the reward for me. It's just adding to it for me. But I think I like the combat and I like how the powers are
but that
mixing.
Then
doesn't-
what is the reward for you then?
That doesn't
The
diminish
resource
fact
management, I'm not saying that the emails are the singular thing I'm fighting through these things for. I'm not having as many problems as a lot of people are. And I don't think it's just because I was looking forward to the game. I love this game just because I'm liking the combat. I didn't have as much problems with the wrench combat. I stopped using the wrench.
Look, my whole point was that you're saying you slow down and do things. I get to that point too, and when I do that, the thing that I get for my exploration isn't rewarding for me.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that's valid, but I'm saying the emails aren't my reward. I'm saying the resource management, the actual survival aspects of the game, it's more about getting the jump on enemies and figuring out what I want to do before they react more than it is reacting to the enemies. And I think that's once you have to react to the enemies, I think the combat's a little bit flawed, but I feel that between the resource management and the difficulty and the way it's allowing me to prepare for this combat with so much like resource management and options of where to put resources that it's actually facilitating me being prepared for fights more than it's actually asking me to react to
Cool.
fights.
When I have more than a wrench and a glue gun, then maybe that'll happen. But
Yeah.
No, it's a tough.
but I'm not being motivated to get to that
Yeah,
point.
well,
Yeah.
I didn't even experience like not a learning curve, but like I really don't want to say the word hump again. But for
Wednesday.
the
It's hump day.
the barrier to enjoyment, or no, that's worse. That's way worse. Anyway,
Say hump.
I didn't experience that because this is sort of like the shit I do like. Like I like the kind of narrative that they're setting up, and so for me, it was immediately interesting. But I can 100% see. Like I think you were right, Mike, that it's something that's going to be divisive because it gives you a lot of options. But if you don't like any of those options, then there's nothing there for you. But if it's already something that you like if you want to unravel a mystery of like scientists dying, I'm like, yeah, that's the business. Like then I'm going to enjoy those, even the slower parts. But if you don't want to read the warning emails 3 times, which I
don't mind reading emails, but like I don't want to see the same one on every like of the first 12 computers I see.
Yeah.
That definitely happens early on.
That's what I was gonna say. Is that you get the same email and you're like, all right, cool. What else?
I will say, and like I hate saying this because I think a good game should hook you right away. That not every good game, but I'm saying that does get much better, and you'll find new areas that will reward your nerves. So when you're saying you want to get over the hump, that makes more sense. The emails up front are kind of, I'm so far from that part of the game that I kind of forgot about that, but it was pretty redundant in what I was reading.
They turn you off because it's just like, again, yeah, really boring emails. But I think what we were also talking about where there's also a distinction between the emails and then like the comics and the books that actually will freeze the game.
Yeah.
And that will be a nice like calm collective moment where you don't have to worry about someone jumping.
Those feel
are
short to me though.
they're
They're
short,
very
but they
short.
come in series. So you find book 3 and it's like, oh cool, I'm piecing together a nice little like story that it seems to be kind of like similar to what's going on in the station, whatever it is. But to touch on I think the hump, to really clarify it again, is to
hump day.
is to get to the alien powers. And the game is adamant at saying like play your way, and maybe that's the not the confusion but the frustration with that idea is that I knew at some point, like, you know what? There's all these side quests that I have early on. I'm going to have to say no to these right now because I know what is ahead of me with these powers. And you get to those and you unlock the morph and the mimic or, mimicking or whatever it is. Especially the kinetic blast.
Yeah.
Like you want some of these things, and that's where the game was surprising to me, and I was able to like, okay, now I can kind of breathe and feel confident in playing. And again, I'm playing on hard mode. Like last night, I like literally had a different opinion, like going in like, I'm gonna have to dumb this down. Like these guys are too intense. And then I was like getting those powers, and I felt like I was like so much more comfortable, and I was like getting in the rhythm of inventory management and recycling. I was like having a good time toward the end of the night.
I want to go back and play now without the powers. Like maybe that's because I'm loving the resource management so much, but between like weapon upgrade kits, once you learn to fabricate those, and I just pump stuff into my like silenced pistol, and then kind of learning just sticking to human powers of science, engineering, security,
leverage, like moving objects. You
or
totally,
throwing those.
Right, but
That's really powerful, by the way.
I know. I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah.
Well, if you can successfully hit the friggin' mimics.
You know what else I forgot too? This is random, but like when I was saying I couldn't get into that window, I forgot that you can use kinetic, and that's what I haven't. You were mentioning like, oh, these powers being used like in like kind of combo efforts, like being a cup and then launching yourself with kinetic blast, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know if anyone's done that yet in the office.
I did. I tried.
Try
yeah,
it? Does
yeah.
it hurt
did.
you?
As a cup, no, I don't think it did. But you have to, set the kinetic blast and then quickly mimic the cup, and you'll be in the kinetic blast and launch you. But another thing, you get a kinetic pull later on, and you can't mimic things through glass. You have to actually have a direct line to them. I also really like the lore behind how mimicking works, at least in this game. It's not realistic. You actually swap with that object in a quantum separate timeline. So you exist in a different timeline, but your consciousness stays in this one. I don't know. It's not. It sounds dumb, but it's cool how it works.
I
in
love
this
stuff
game.
like that.
But I didn't have any small enough object to get through this little receptionist slot in an office. So I got back down, looked through it, pulled the cup to me, and then put it next to me, and then mimicked it so I could go through, that was really cool when you start combining them.
Yeah.
I don't think the true enjoyment came from this game until later on. At least up front, I liked it. Became from a survival game to more of an immersive sim later on for me.
I know I'm probably, this isn't a common opinion, but I really love the mundane. Like I love, in any storytelling, like I love little mundane things that you pick up that just kind of paint like this is an interesting world, this is a surprising world, but it's also like people still had to send out freaking emails about password security. And I'm enjoying it up front because of stuff like that. And I know that's kind of weird and not a lot of people like that sort of thing, but I really like staying grounded in some semblance of reality, especially when something is so out there. And when you're making up explanations for quantum whatever and you have all these weird powers, I like that there's still stuff like that.
The reward of sifting through the boring stuff.
Yeah, I actually like that. I know that is not for everybody, and so I wouldn't say like, oh yeah, that's just this bright spot in this game, but I am enjoying that, and so I don't feel like there's anything I have to get over to start enjoying it. And that really irritates me when you feel like you have to put in, like if somebody's like, oh, play this JRPG, it gets good 20 hours in. I'm like, screw you. I don't have 20 hours to be bored. And so I sympathize with that. Like, I don't think the mundane is a selling point, but that is something that I enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Any final thoughts on Prey?
I'm going to keep trying to play it. I have faith that, you guys know that it's a good game. I hope to get there sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Rob, anything? You want to keep playing it?
Yeah, I really think you should keep playing because now, like, there are things already that I want to talk to maybe you or later about cool environmental change-ups. Like I would almost want to say similar, just off the top of my head, like to like towers in Zelda, where you think like, oh, this is getting tedious, like climbing a tower. Yet every tower was like memorable. You know what I mean? Like you start seeing rooms in that same respect, and they're directly in relation to a story of like what happened in these rooms, and with like the aliens, like as Mike said, like learning about like the physiology or like the science behind these typhons is like increasingly getting more rewarding as I play. But yeah, there was this kind of lull
to be said in the beginning that I think we kind of all agree on.
Yeah, one last point. I do like when I come back to a room and not even remember what an NPC did in there, but I was like, oh shit, this is the room where I screwed up that phantom by doing this, and then that mimic came out of nowhere, and then I don't know. But yeah, Timur Hussein is doing our official scored review. It's all pretty much written. It'll go up soon. Just keep an eye on GameSpot for that. If you want further thoughts on it, we got a few features up on GameSpot about like tips and whatnot, things you might want to know before you start playing. If you haven't played, if you have started playing, leave comments on this video if it's on YouTube after the fact or GameSpot.
Yeah, I feel like I'm interjecting, but yeah, Jean-Luc made a like what areas should you put neuromods into, and I actually found that really helpful.
Oh yeah, that like early neuromods guide.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like me and you get super paranoid about stuff like that. Check that out.
I mean, it's a time saver where it's like, all right, like there are all these later on progression unlocks. It's like you sifting and reading all those can get a little like overwhelming. So he did a good video actually.
Yeah,
that was helpful.
And if you're enjoying Prey and haven't played Dishonored 2, you should go check those out. Very different games, but also by the same creator, so there are some similarities from Arcane Studios. Cool. I want to finish up with a few things quick before we get to our last kind of thing we're going to do today. But yeah, so that giveaway that we mentioned earlier is Deus Ex Mankind Divided PS4 Special Edition that we have. It'll be later on the week, once if you follow GameSpot, if you don't already on Twitter, and then retweet the giveaway tweet. We'll pick a random winner later in the week for PS4 in North America only. Apologies to people outside. There's some legal stuff that we can't do giveaways outside of that most of the time. Yeah, thanks to Richard Lee, Eric Tay, Jean-Luc in the back. And one more thing, you might not know Marco Martinez, but he has been at GameSpot for a decade now, doing a ton of behind-the-scenes stuff, helping our social team and just helping, kind of does almost everything at GameSpot. But unfortunately, this coming Friday is his last day, so we figured we'd bring him on. I believe you have a lav mic on, right?
Yeah.
So. Cool. Yeah. So Marco, figured we'd give you the chance to come on the lobby and say farewell to everyone that you've been helping these last 10 years.
Yeah, it's crazy because this iteration of the lobby is interesting. Watched every iteration, today on the spot, just old shows.
You've been here forever.
Yeah,
you've been here longer than I think I've had any job.
Yeah, I've been here 10 years. It's interesting seeing the site grow, seeing everybody grow, because I remember when all of you guys were hired. So just seeing where you guys were and now, it's great to see, and it's gonna be nice to be a fan, really just I can read everything, watch everything. Nice. It's gonna be hard to leave, but.
Do you want to talk about what you're doing in general? I don't know. Can you talk about it?
Yeah, it's actually out of the games industry, which is surprising. I thought I was gonna stay, but it's a company called Nginx. They're a web server, really out of games. So just running their social media, YouTube, that kind of stuff. So it's gonna be fun.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
Sorry to see you go. Obviously.
Yeah, man. It's super sad to see you go, just because you and Gadge have just been around, just killing it, and I feel more and more just traits about what you actually do just get built upon, and everyone, you're just so reliable. Come E3, I hope we find a.
You guys are gonna kick ass. You guys are gonna kick ass. We'll make sure that nothing.
But yeah, dude, you'll be missed.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, mean a lot.
One more addition to your guys' conversation on Wii U ports.
Yeah.
Power Stone from. Did you guys mention that at all?
No.
Power Stone from
making
the
this
Sega. No, Dreamcast. You guys got to check out Power Stone. They have the Power Stone collection for $4 right now. But Power Stone, that would be an awesome game on the Nintendo Switch. If you haven't checked it out.
Four-player fighting game.
Yeah. It was I want to say, the Dreamcast was before the 64, right? Then 64. After. Okay. Yeah. So maybe some. Yeah, Power Stone collection, $4 on PSN. So definitely check that out. That would be a great port, especially how you can connect easily on the Switch.
Yeah.
That game, it's awesome. We'll play after. We'll play after this.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Speaking of Nintendo Switch, we're gonna be playing Mario Kart after work tomorrow.
Yeah, pretty good.
You're not gonna be too far away though, right?
Yeah, 2 blocks away.
Awesome.
Yeah, up the
Be
street.
toward
So we'll
IGN,
get lunch, everything.
Third Thursdays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, if you're a GameSpot regular, you probably remember our Rocket League tournament last year. Yeah. Marco was my doubles partner, and we still have not gotten revenge. So we should organize something last minute.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if we'll stream it. We probably won't. But we need revenge. Well, Mary's gone. She was the one that beat us.
Yeah.
Screw her.
That was a good match.
Cool.
That was a really good match, but it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, Margot, thanks so much. You will be missed. Like Rob said, you've always been reliable as hell. It's going to be sad to see you go, but I'm sure you're on to better things with your career and everything.
Thanks, guys.
Everybody for joining. We thank you so much for watching, as always, on YouTube, Twitch, or on GameSpot. And we will see you next week, same time, Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific. See you later.